Hi YouTube, it's Catherine Michelle. Today we're going to go over some of the oddities I have noticed and found in the case. Yesterday I was talking with someone from a Facebook group page and they were asking me a question about a blood spot they had noticed on David's arm. And they couldn't quite tell if it was, if the section of his arm was actually a shirt or was it the skin. So I told him, I said, you know, I never really looked at his clothes, which turns out to have been a mistake. Yeah. Yes, I make mistakes. So anyway, oh no, I'm human. Help me, help me. So when reading over his clothes, I see that he is wearing one black sleeveless t-shirt. That's what's closest to his body. Then he has one long white long sleeve shirt, and then over that he is wearing a gray short sleeve t-shirt. So he's wearing 3 shirts, and then he has boxers and pants. But I find it really odd that he's wearing 3 shirts. Most people don't go around wearing 2 t-shirts and a long sleeve t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt in between. Doesn't make sense to me. Quite odd. Maybe it has a good explanation, but when it goes with everything else that's in this case, it's pretty odd. Kamel is wearing a light brown, or a brown button front sweater with a collar, and then a black short sleeve shirt and sweatpants, no underwear. Again, not completely odd. For her, that's not odd for women to do that. Now we look at the clothes that Rania was wearing, and she is wearing, oh, here it is. She is wearing a sleeveless shirt and then gray sweatpants, no underwear. Now that's odd. I spoke with a couple of people who have medical experience as well, and because my experience in the 10 years working in an ER, I never once ran across a 5-year-old child that wasn't wearing underwear. Adult males and females, yes, it was pretty common. But for children, I never saw that before. So I asked a couple of other medical people, and I asked them, I said, you know, in your experience and in your jobs, did you ever notice that? And they said, no. They said that would be odd and unusual for a child not to be wearing underwear for various reasons, and we don't need to start listing them. However, you know, I think most of you are smart enough to figure that out. And again, that was odd that Rania wasn't wearing any underwear, and neither was Kamel. Then the next thing is the handwriting. The only tests that were done for handwriting, it wasn't to compare any of the handwriting samples. This is a lab report that was taken from a tablet that had the words "submit to Allah/Alan," depending on who you talk to, now. And all of these, each one of these lines is a separate page from that notebook. And the only thing that they tested and found was when they found some impressions on another page. It looks like part of a script that was being written. And that's all they looked for. There were no comparative handwriting analysis done. They had samples of at least 4 different people in that house, and written on other various surfaces, but they didn't, you know, they didn't test anything. They have Dan's own handwriting in his notes. They have Kamel's handwriting, and on the refrigerator, she writes this really cute little note to David, and underneath it, David, you know, writes back. And then underneath that, and at the end, you will see these photos. I'll put them at the end after I'm done. You see someone else, it's not David and it's not Kamel, someone else writes E, which that refers to David because that's how he was signing his note, because he was going E, you know, in response to her note, and then he writes me. So they put E, go suck 2, and then they sign it egg. So I think, to me, that was a slam. I don't know who wrote that, and they really should have checked that out, because on one of the family photos, they have like a collage of photos, and in there is a picture of Kamel, and David took a sticky note and in the shape of like a fried egg. And he writes on there, "You've got egg on your face," and then puts it on her picture. Now you can clearly tell that's his handwriting, and it matches what was written on the refrigerator note. However, that to me, along with the "E, you go suck two" signed egg, to me that's a slam. That's somebody writing something. Could be wrong, but it's not, again, it's not, when you look at it, you will see it does not look like David's handwriting. It doesn't look like Kamel's handwriting. So who wrote that and when was it written? Let's see. And then they didn't compare either the handwriting on the wall that says Allahu Akbar and then the supposed submit to Allah/Alan now. They didn't compare any of those writings to David's handwriting. And when I'll show you a sample of David's handwriting, I'll show you again David's, Kamel's, Dan Jr.'s, the writing on the wall, and then the writing on the notepad, and then the pad on the refrigerator. And why am I including Dan Jr.? Because he wrote they took a picture of a tag that he wrote for Rania that's, on a Christmas present. And if they felt it was important enough to take a picture of, you'll see why it's important enough to compare that writing with some of the other writing on the notes. It's, again, odd and interesting. The affidavit that was put out by, sorry, I don't mean to keep saying so often. I'm tired. By Brian Bone, and the pink highlighted section here, and you'll see my notes too. It says, why they're asking for the affidavit. It says the facts tending to establish the foregoing grounds for issuance of a search warrant are as follows. And then they include in their list of grounds would be, there did not appear to be any forced entry into the house or any other signs to indicate there was another party involved in the causing of the deaths of this family. And to me, that is not true, because the back door was open. They state in their reports the back door is open. So in the fact that maybe there wasn't forced entry, that part's true, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't any evidence of another party involved. You have a door that was open, which anybody, friends, family, somebody they knew could have come over and could have done this. And there wouldn't be forced entry. So the way they write this presumptively stating on, this was in February at 2:13 in the afternoon. They are stating that they're requesting these records, these financial records, because they're saying that they didn't have proof of forced entry. Anybody else could have killed these people, when in fact they absolutely did. And how can I say that? Oh, dare me. Oh my goodness, shame on me for saying that. But I am. And how do I say that? Again, we're gonna revisit David's missing bullet. There were a total of 7 bullets, fragments / casings, so //, one or the other, found in that residence. One was an ejected one, not used in anything. It was just ejected from the gun. Out of the 7, here we go, 1 was ejected. We have 3 that had Kamel's blood. We have 1 that had Rania's blood. We have 1 that had no profile whatsoever, found in a wall. And then we had 1 that had David's, just his DNA profile on it, like touch DNA. And again, to reiterate that, they were his bullets. That was, stuff he would have touched. So that's, you have to assume, and it's apparent, that by him touching these bullets, of course his DNA at that point would be on it, but there is no blood. It's not the bullet that went through his head. It's not the bullet that killed him. So out of 7 bullets, casings, fragments, take your pick of which one you want to look at, not one of those was the bullet that killed David. Not one. And I know some people have tried to throw out there about the dog eating it, hiding it. Okay, people, seriously, stop and think about your comments before you make them. You know, when you have a thought, and I'm speaking to myself here too, because sometimes I tend to just spew things out, but stop for a second, take that step further. Would the dog truly only be able to find the fragment of the bullet that killed David, the casing that went to the bullet that killed David? Or I'm assuming the casing. Okay, just for the sake of argument, we're still missing a casing, we're still missing a fragment. Would the dog only find that and hide those when everything else is lying out and open except for one that was actually underneath Camille, and not touch those? No, it wouldn't. So, you know, don't go down that path. Let's not go to the realm of absurdity. You know, the bullet that killed David is not there. So there's the smoking gun. There's the odd thing that these police, who had it all wrapped up within 2 hours, can't seem to put this together and failed to put it out there to the public that David's missing bullet is gone. The bullet that killed him is not in the house. I find that extremely odd. The other thing that is odd are these footprints. There are only a few of them there, and they're only in a very limited area, I should say. There are no bloody footprints leading up to where they are. There are no bloody footprints going away from where they are. Just all of a sudden, in the middle of the floor, bam, you've got a bloody footprint. Okay, what do? Walk over there, lift up their foot, put some blood on it, stick their foot down, only the ball of their foot, and then hop over to the next spot, put some blood on it, put their foot down. I mean, do you see how ridiculous this is? And they don't find that odd at all. They didn't think how these were placed was odd. I find it very odd. I find it absolutely ridiculous and kind of crazy. So at the end of this, I will put some pictures up. Yeah, there's, I don't know how to actually do a video yet that will include the photos and then I can speak over them. I don't have time to figure all that out. And so I'm only using the camera on my laptop right now to do these. And so I know most of you have been really gracious and have been very kind with my videos. Others seem to think that if I'm not posting what I'm quoting from, then I'm lying, which is actually kind of hilarious. It's actually been downright funny. However, all of this stuff can be found on either The Ugly Truth or at Greg Fernandez Jr.'s website. I believe he has a Facebook page. You can find Greg Fernandez Jr. and Dan Hennon on YouTube. I suggest you find their channels, find their pages, and then you can locate these documents. Again, I tend to forget whose page is whose. There's just so much information running around in my head, and I don't want to mess all of that up. However, I do know a lot of the photos can be found on The Ugly Truth, and I will definitely have that link down there. And also I will have a link to Greg Fernandez Jr.'s page as well, because I think that would be helpful. And again, for anybody who has any questions, it would be great for you to access those and read over everything. I mean, there's so much information there. It will take you a while to get through it all. So thank you. Hope you guys have a great night. And again, stay tuned because the photos will be attached. Hi, just wanted to add this in here. I wanted to let you know which photos are going to be put in at the end. The first photo is of the Crowley family. It's a family portrait and it's absolutely beautiful. I just want you all to see this beautiful family that was horribly, horribly murdered. The next two pictures will be the notepad on the refrigerator. And please take note. You'll see where you see the note from Camille, the note from response from David, and then underneath that, you will see there are 3 separate handwritings here. And that certainly looks like 3 separate handwritings to me. And then after that, you will see the picture of Camille where David has the sticky note talking about egg on her face. And then on the next photo is a yellow square sticky note. You'll see a sample of David's handwriting there. And now the next one after that, please pay close attention and look very closely at David's A's. David makes his A's in a very unique way, and they are consistent in everything I have seen of him write when he writes, uses capital letters, which isn't very often. The next photo will be a sample is a picture of the letter A that was written in blood. You will see it is not the same as David's handwriting. They're not the same. And every A in the Allahu Akbar is written exactly the same way as that A in blood. And it does not match David's handwriting and how he writes A's. The next one after that is a photo of the note that Danny wrote on Renee's Christmas present. The next two photos after that are of the bloody footprints, and you'll see what I'm talking about, where there's just like 3 spots and they're boom, nowhere else to be found. The one after that, and if there, let me go back, because if there are more footprints, I didn't see photos of them. So that's that. Those are the only photos I've seen with blood footprints. The next one after that is a picture of the sink where it looks like blood spatter all over in the sink. And we are going to end it with a photo of Dan Jr. in his little ninja gear that he had posted on Facebook but took it down. Okay. I just thought that was interesting and odd.